Is it possible to drive from the lower 48 to Alaska in a day? And how dumb of an idea is it, and how painful will it be? Those are questions I hope to answer in this video. But first, let me show you around in this kind of weird little hotel room. We are in the tiny little town of Sumas, Washington, just about half a mile south of the US-Canada border. And this hotel is like mountain themed. I think they call it Sumas Mountain Lodge or something like that. Very dark in here, so I apologize for the poor lighting. And then we have the bathroom right here. It's a nice enough place for one night. But let me get the map out. I stopped at AAA earlier today, and I think I stuck the maps somewhere. Yeah, I got some free maps from AAA. Let me show you what the plan is. This is a map of British Columbia. And then do you see this dark colored blob in the corner? That is the very, very, very bottom of Alaska. And that is where we're headed. So right now we are in, let's see, we are just south of Abbotsford. Do you see that in red right in the middle? That's in British Columbia, that's in Canada. We are just south of that on the Washington side. And so we're gonna follow these red lines all the way north. We're gonna bypass Kamloops to the west, and then follow it up to Prince George. And then from there, we're gonna go west all the way to Stewart, British Columbia. And that is right there in the middle on the Canadian side. And just over the border in Alaska is Hyder, Alaska. That is the closest point of Alaska that you can drive to from the US, or from the lower 48, rather. Driving straight through, that will take us 15 hours and 36 minutes, and it's 880 miles. So you can see that blue dot where we are, a little bit southeast of Vancouver, north of Seattle. We're gonna go up and up and up to Alaska. So 16 hours if I were to drive straight through, but I figure with stops for gas and food and to stretch my legs, we're looking at closer to 18 or 20 hours. I'm gonna wake up at 4 a.m. here. It's 8:45 right now. Gonna pack up in the morning, and I'm hoping to be on the other side of the border, on the Canadian side, and on the road at about 5 or by 5 in the morning. It's gonna be rough. It'll be fun though. This is something that I've been wanting to do for literally years. I first had this idea probably 4 years ago, and I've never gotten around to do it. But for better or for worse, now's the time. I'll see you guys in the morning, probably on the other side of the border. I'll meet back up with you once I'm on the road in Canada. Good morning. It's about 7 o'clock, just before 7 o'clock. I'm about 50 miles as the crow flies north of the border. I'm north of North Cascades National Park. That's about the region that I am in, if you're familiar with that part of Washington. But we are in beautiful British Columbia. Let me show you around a little bit. I'm parked in this little gravel pullout on the side of the road. It's light enough to see now, more or less. I've been driving in the dark. Got some beautiful mountain scenery here. I'm liking it. It's been a nice drive so far, even though it has been, you know, dark. The border crossing process was super easy, super smooth. I was in my car at the motel at 4:40, and I was across the border on my way by 4:45. He just asked for my passport. He didn't need to see, you know, the car registration or insurance, even though you do want to have those things with you. And then I've just been driving nonstop. It's currently 53 degrees Fahrenheit, and I've driven 111.8 miles. As far as what we still have left to do, we still have 13 hours, 22 minutes of driving, or 1,232 kilometers. And I'll be staying on this road for another 294 kilometers. It's gonna be a long day. But I'm doing well, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling excited. I'm looking forward to the next couple hours of the drive. I'm listening to an audiobook called The Hunt for Mount Everest. It's nonfiction about, I don't know exactly what it's about. I'm like 20 minutes into it. I don't remember if it's about measuring Mount Everest or like the approach, like getting to Mount Everest, or leading up to the first ascent of Mount Everest. I don't know, but I like it so far. It's a fun adventure book to listen to as I'm on this driving adventure. And again, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling comfortable. You know, as soon as I crossed the border, the first thing that I saw was a Costco and then a Wendy's. And so it's like, oh yeah, you know, this is another country. It's a different country, but it's not that foreign of a country, at least this part of Canada to me. Just feels comfortable, feels like home. It's great. Okay, let's see, it's 7 o'clock now on the dot. Let's drive for another 2 hours. I think this is the first hovercraft I've ever seen in my life. That's nuts. All right, guys, I made it halfway. I am in Prince George, British Columbia. I'm at a mall. I just went in to get some food. Really nice mall, a surprisingly nice mall. Very busy, looks like it's doing well. It's not the case for shopping malls in all places. I got this for lunch. This is, I don't even remember, sesame chicken and black pepper chicken and noodles, I think. And then I'm gonna go to the Save On Foods right there to go get probably a sandwich or two to take with me on the road. It took me about 9 hours to get here, which is about what I thought it would take. Beautiful drive. You know, this morning it started off with rain, a lot of rain. It was very rainy for the first 2.5 or 3 hours as I was going through the mountains east of Vancouver, basically. And then the train kind of morphed into more dry mountains. It reminded me of like Idaho or southwestern Montana, and less of the, you know, less of the Cascades, less of the Pacific Northwest. So that was interesting. And then for the last several hours, it's been driving through rolling hills, rolling mountains. Lots of trees, beautiful fall colors in certain places. It's been great. What a fun drive. And this is the largest city in northern British Columbia, I think, Prince George. And it feels like it. It feels much bigger than anything else I've been through. I think I read that some people call this the northern capital, because Victoria, which is the capital of British Columbia, is very far away from here, and Vancouver very far away from here. And so this town serves as a hub for the region, and it's a really nice place. I'm feeling fine. You know, I'm tired, but I'm not like dying, if that makes sense. And so I think I can do the whole thing in a day. We'll see. We'll see. I figure worst case scenario, I pull over and take a nap for an hour or two, and then I keep driving. You know, it's not a big deal. Either way, I will get to Alaska in the dark. Hopefully I can find a campsite, but yeah, I guess we'll see. The roads have been great, super nice, you know, pretty high quality roads. There's a fair amount of construction, which makes sense, you know, in a place like this that doesn't see a lot of summer. During the summer you want and into the fall, you want to make sure that you're working on the roads when you can, so you're not digging up the permafrost or whatever, you know? I don't know. Let me eat this, let me think about it, and then we'll touch base before I hit the road again. That was a lot of Chinese food. That was too much food. I ate like a third of that and had to get rid of the rest. That was just too much for me, but it was decent. It was basically from a place that was the same sort of thing as Panda Express. It wasn't Panda Express, but that's basically what it was like. I'm now about 20 or 30 minutes outside of town, outside of Prince George to the west. A lot of traffic, a lot of wind, but I'm excited. I'm pumped to keep going. This is a lot of fun for me. And I wanted to drive a little bit out of town to gather my thoughts about why I'm doing this, because I think that's probably the number one question that people have. Why are you doing it in a day? Why not do it in 2, 3, 4 days, a week? And those are good questions. You know, that's a good question. The main reason is that I wanted an adventure. And doing the drive in a week, that's a nice drive. I could see and do stuff along the way, but that's not a challenge. That's not an adventure. I wanted something that would be challenging. I wanted something that would be epic, frankly. And I think that this is fitting that bill nicely. We're halfway done, more than halfway done. I'm guessing I'll get into Alaska at like midnight tonight. If I had to put money on it, that's what I would say. It is 3 o'clock now. I'm ready. Let's keep going. We've been going for a while now, guys. I just filled up the tank yet again. I'm in a town called Houston, and I can see some snow on the mountains ahead of me here. Check it out, that's some fresh snow. If we look past the Tim Hortons, that's some fresh snow on the mountains right there. Pretty awesome. It's about 6 o'clock. I've been on the road again since about 4:40. I've gone 629.6 miles. Out of 840. I have 4.5 hours left to go, 397 kilometers. Gonna get there around 10:26. I have about an hour of daylight left. The sun sets at about 7. right, guys, I'm on the outskirts of Stewart, British Columbia. I am 9 minutes from Alaska. It's 10:52. I'm almost there. I've almost made it. Crazy. Been driving in the dark for the last few hours, and we're almost done here. And there's the sign, Hyder and Alaska. Gonna turn right at, I think, the one and only stoplight in town. I don't think there's any kind of customs or immigration stop going into Alaska because you can't really get to any other part of the US from there. It's sort of an enclave. And so I think we can just go right on through. I think the border is somewhere. Yeah, I think this is immigration. I think this is Canadian immigration coming back into Canada right here. But going out, look at this. Hyder entering Alaska. Welcome to Hyder, Alaska. We did it. Let's go get a picture here. The friendliest ghost town in Alaska. We did it, guys. I can't believe it. 18 hours after setting off this morning, we did it. We drove to Alaska in a day. That is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna go find a campsite somewhere. I'm tired, as you can probably imagine. It's gonna take me a little while to drive around and find a spot to camp. Let's wrap this up in the morning, okay? I'll meet back up with you guys in the morning, bright and early at camp. Good morning. Welcome to camp. Let me show you around. It's a moody, misty morning here. It's about 8:45. I slept pretty well. Got probably 7.5 hours of sleep. Man, look at the clouds over there. Pretty epic looking. There's a river out here. You can see part of it right there. I love it. This campsite isn't really much of a campsite. It's a gravel pullout on the side of the road. I was not looking for anything fancy last night. I just wanted a place where I could park and go to sleep. And to that end, mission accomplished. And this is what it looks like pulled back a little bit. Again, just a gravel pullout on the side of the road. There is a dirt road right here leading off to, I think, some campsites, but you know, in the dark, I didn't want to go down that because I didn't know if there were people already camped down there. So again, this was just fine for the night. There was one other factor that drove me to make that journey yesterday in a single day, and that is the weather. I've been eyeing the weather forecast for this area for a couple of weeks. A few weeks, actually. And when I first looked, it was just like rain every single day, 80-90% chance of rain for the foreseeable future, for the foreseeable forecast. And so I've just been monitoring it. I didn't think I'd be able to do this trip this season. I thought I had left it until too late in the season. But then 3 or 4 days ago, I looked at the forecast again for Hyder, and it said that there was a 13% chance of rain today, and that it would be only partly cloudy. And so I thought, oh, perfect, let's do it. And so I had a time crunch. I needed to make it here for today. And so even though it's obviously, you know, not the clearest weather day, this is about as good as we're gonna get at this time of year. The forecast does call for the rain and the clouds to ease up as we continue on through the morning over the next couple of hours. So should be a fun day of exploring the area. That's what I'm gonna do in the next video. So be sure to stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already to check that out. It really is a beautiful place, even like this. Maybe especially like this, you know, in the moody, misty morning. It's so cool. And I've been thinking more about the question of what's the point? Or why are you doing this? And I have a couple more thoughts on that before we wrap up here. The first is that, you know, there is value in just cramming it in and doing as much as you possibly can in a day or in a week, in a trip, you know, whatever time frame you want to put around it. And I enjoy doing that stuff. That's why my videos are full of me doing things from sunrise to sunset, basically. And as we saw in this video, beyond that, before sunrise and after sunset. I enjoy that kind of thing. And then, yeah, it's an adventure. You know, I mentioned that earlier. And I was also thinking of another analogy, and it's kind of a silly analogy, but it's like asking someone, do you remember the time you walked the dog? And they're like, well, which time? I walk the dog every day, you know, a couple times a day. It's not very memorable. But if you change the question to, do you remember the time you walked the dog for 18 hours? It's like, oh yeah, that time. Of course I remember that. How could I not? I think I'm gonna remember this trip, this adventure, that drive yesterday for the rest of my life. That was so much fun. That was so cool. It was like traveling through the landscape, you know, like a river, just flowing through British Columbia. Everything went great. It was smooth. It was flowing. I loved it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the adventure too. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.